Back at you again, Blue Pearl Oracle here, aka Rodney Goodwin. Just want to do a short video here. I was watching a video, shout out to Earth Magic Apothecary. She uploaded or had a video on her feed about some of the USA transits that's going on. So I appreciate that. I did check it out. There's another astrologist. Her name's Molly McCord. So I was listening to her content, and she was just going through some of the transits that are going on with the U.S. Of course, we have our Pluto return taking place here, coming into 27 degrees. And that's kind of what I want to get into today. I want to get into a few transits that are really happening with the USA here, in context to our land, our nation. You know, as a whole, the world is seething, it's boiling. You know, with these transits that are taking place with the U.S., you know, we're really coming into a boiling point in our nation. And I just want to say this about the political aggregate. If you're still thinking that either one or the other party is, you know, has your best interests in mind, or you think that you know, that the policies are going to change something, just look back into history. All you got to fucking do is look back into history and see what actually has changed. Not jack shit. These policies have done nothing but keep us in slavery and keep us locked down and keep us into a place in our mental state as a nation where we've only just been on the loops, on the fucking hamster wheel over and over again. And if you think that any of these parties give a shit about you, then you are in deep Neptune illusions, because both sides of the fucking coin are evil. And that's just a fact. And the people who are running this show up on the top don't give a shit about you. All they care about is your fucking energy, what they can harvest from you as a parasite. See, there's always a little truth in things. There has to be. So they can hook you into the construct. You know, oh, we're giving away to this charity. Oh, we're helping this poor person, or we're helping these poor people, or we're putting on this program for the poor people. See, that's the problem, is that it plays on your empathy, it plays on your inverted compassion, and your unsanctified mercy. See, because you don't know the difference. And that's the problem, is that we don't know the fucking difference when we're getting into these political realms, because they're locked down in the first veil, and you don't even know the fucking forest from the trees because of the miasma and the fog that's setting in. And you think that somehow some candidate is going to be able to change the aggregate? No, man, you change your own aggregate. You empower yourself to change your own place where you plant seeds so the ground is fertile and the roots go deep. That's all I'm going to say about that. But again, this is what we're talking about in context to the USA and the transits that are coming forth in context to government. Capricorn represents government. Pluto's in Capricorn. What's it doing? It's shaking the fuck out of governmental constructs. See? That's what's happening, and there's a teardown that's taking place. And we haven't seen the result of that teardown yet, because Pluto moves very slow. It's a slow-moving planet, and every 248 years it makes a return, okay? So we're having a 248 Pluto return year right now. That's happening. This is our third run through this thing to make sure that whatever Pluto is planning on doing, whatever the Scorpion energy and the Plutonian energy is doing, it's tearing shit down so things can be rebuilt in Aquarius correctly. And this is where we have to catch it, you know, on an individual level as well. So it's a power planet, and we're not going to see the results of this return right away. It's going to be in 2023, 2024, and 2025 where we'll start to see the results. Because, you know, things don't move lightning fast with Pluto. Pluto is a slow-moving planet to the collective consciousness of a generation. So this is what we have to remember is that this Plutonian energy is only seeding on this return right now. It's planting the seeds of you know, into the constructs that need to be, you know, that need to be broken down. Things that need to be rebuilt that have been broken down that were actually good. So we have to kind of look at that in context to this, but that's not really what I want to get into here. What I want to get into is this opposition that we have in Neptune. So the energy in Neptune for the nation on the natal chart for the USA is Neptune in Virgo. So it's all of the Neptune energy, where all the illusions, all the deep water runs, where in context of Pisces, where all that is spun out to the illusional aspect in our own individual lives, how we perceive ourselves, how we see ourselves, to relationships, how we're seeing another person outside of ourselves, to the Libra construct, and then also to the governmental aspect, or the constructs that we work within our work, and the governmental shits, and all this stuff that takes place that we actually are inputted into in society. Those are also the illusions. Looking at our ego constructs in context to what our how people are perceiving us, our reputation, so to speak, within the matrix. How is that panning out for you? How is that looking to your ego? And so these are the illusions of Neptune, and you can't make a choice because there's so much pressure being put on you, by your peers, that if you make that choice, then they're going to look at you in indifference. Fuck that. It doesn't matter if the choice is in truth. That's what you make. You make the choice that's in truth, and you let it fall where it may. Because that's what a man does. That's what a real woman does. They don't care about, how it's going to affect other people. If it's going to empower their own life to truth, then they make that choice for themselves to the truth. And that's how we have to live. We have to have a spine, guys, we have to have fucking cojones, This is how it works. And if we're breaking our frame to peer pressure within the matrix system, and we're allowing, the opinions of our peers or a political group or whatever the fuck it is to, keep us in that place of breaking our frame and being, basically being milk toast, we're never going to grow as an individual, because we're always comparing ourselves to something else or someone else. And we have to stop that, and that takes it back to your self-worth, which is the second gate of Taurus. Self-validation, which I keep talking about because that's the theme right now. So this square, or this opposition that's taking place, is at 22 degrees with Neptune, and the opposition being Neptune in Virgo, and where the opposition is taking place is Neptune in Pisces. So there's an opposition taking place, which means that it's like two energies. It's a 12-6 axis that are coming together, and unless you find balance within that opposition to dissolve it, then it creates a setup for a lot of tension, a lot of indifference, a lot of illusion. Anybody who has Neptune oppositions are in, they have to work through certain illusions and dreamscapes within their waking consciousness that they have to work through to find themselves. It's like traveling through the fog. You ever drove through the fog with your lights on dim because you can't put them up on the high beam because you can't see shit. Even on the low beam, you're just like, oh shit, I hope something doesn't jump out in front of me, because you can't see past your nose. That's the Maya. That's the dream fog of these oppositions, especially in Neptune, when you're dealing with the Neptune oppositions. So, saying that, the aspect that's taking place is a T-square to Mars and Gemini. So if you look at it on the chart, it's a red line that goes vertical, and then you have a 90-degree angle to Mars, so it forms what's called a T-square. Okay? So a square means that this is a place where there's a lot of energy that's taking place with the square at 90 degrees, but it's tension. And it's hot-headedness, and especially with Mars, and it's making decisions and choices, not thinking about it. And that's the deal with this Mars energy, is that Mars in Gemini, okay, where it's at squaring up with these two energies in Neptune, it's not empowering Mars to make a choice here. Okay, Mars is kind of indifferent with itself right here in context to the illusion, because it doesn't know what choice to make because of the dream fog that's taking place. So think of it like this: you're in a choice, you're in a situation, and you don't know what choice to make, because you got these choices, but you don't know what to make because you can't really see the full spectrum in logic and reason as to what choice you need to make that's rooted in truth. So Mars is sitting there going, fuck, I don't know what to do here, because I can't see past my nose, right? So it puts Mars in a place of inaction in Gemini when it's squared up with this for the next, it's going to be, going into November, this next month and a half, that we're going to have this aspect here. And, Mars is retrograde too as well. So anytime Mars is retrograde, it's pulling back on the energy force, okay? Going within. So deep illusions to the program can be inputted here to the collective consciousness at this time. Not that we don't have enough fucking running as it is right now. If you throw CERN into the aspect of what's being thrown into the ethers, and the psyops from 2020 that have been running, and fuck, I was in Walmart yesterday, and it just, the collective aggregate is uncomfortable. They're scared. There's fear there. There's unknown. People are very uncomfortable. They're pulling back on their finances right now. You can feel it. You can see it. I can see it in the business I help run. And there's a lot of uncertainty and fear and unknown in the collective. And I felt that in Walmart, and it was grinding up against my auric field as it was bouncing off, because I'm like sitting here going, man. And the other thing is that there are so many more masks right now. And I don't even know why, because, this shit has kind of rolled by. But again, about 30% of the people in Walmart were wearing masks. I saw whole families masked up. And, that psyop is still running in the collective consciousness with the masking, which is, the masking, putting the muzzle, upon the voice, upon the breath, limiting the breathing aspect, or the ruach within people. And, the more people, cling onto this shit and comply, the more deeper it goes into the psyche. And as we see and as we understand, if you don't understand it, everything is, sound, vibration, frequency, it's consciousness. So, these psyops run within the collective consciousness of the mind, and then they roll out in manifestation. That's how it works. Everything is consciousness, guys. So with this square, don't be surprised if we start to see some serious shit start to take place here with this illusion. As it is a really powerful time for dark forces to seed something here that is hidden. See, this is what they do. They occult things. They occult their movements. So you can't see them, and then they throw out the movements, or what they've done in these movies and in all these places where it looks like, oh, that's just science fiction, that's just this, that's just that. No, they're telling you what they're doing because they have to, but they're doing it under the guise of it's just an illusion. See, when in fact it's not really an illusion, but it's what they're seeding to create the illusion. And that's the difference. You got to know the difference. You got to know your enemy, guys. Of course, your greatest enemy is always yourself, your ego out of alignment, your tyrannical, narcissistic mind. That's always your enemy in context. And that's what has to be balanced within the fulcrum and burned out to the alignment to our true solar north and to our heart core intelligence, our high heart. That's how you deal with it. But again, this illusion with Neptune running to Mars is a lot of tension to Mars, a lot of tension to the putting things into action, and Mars just isn't very empowered right now. So people are going to be very uncertain about what moves they want to make, or what deals they want to do, or what business things they want to lay down, or it kind of puts everything into what's called a stagnation of chaos within the collective country, within our country. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my country. I love this land. I love the fact that, there is, this area here that I live in is beautiful. I love the landscape of our nation. It's absolutely gorgeous, and, I love the idea, the freedom, but again, that's just another illusion that's been peddled, because true freedom's all around us and within us. We just have to realize that we're not slaves anymore, that we can be free. And, so the other thing that we've got going on, with that square is that, it's we have Mars retrograde and we have Neptune retrograde right now. Okay. So they're both pulling back. Okay. So we're going to see this setup again in February and March. And that's interesting, because then we're going to also have this other transit with Saturn that's going to be transiting the natal moon chart of the chart in Aquarius. So it's interesting because, this could be where people really, back in February and March, the reality check actually comes into play in context to what's actually going on, in the nation. There could be some serious economic issues take place where people are going to be like, oh shit, we're in it. We're deep in the shits, see? And it could hit in February and March of next year. We haven't seen the brunt of what we're feeling, supply chains, that type of stuff being disruptions. And so we've already seen disruption in supply chains. I mean, if you go in and you look at anything on the shelves, you can see it's not really packed in. It's just 2 and 3 back, and sometimes there's not anything. So supply chains have already been disrupted, but we could see more of that happening. And I'm not trying to cause fear here. I'm just trying to bring things to people's attention in context to what's happening astrologically, and gives you a heads up. So I would recommend, starting to up your grounding techniques. Whatever you use to ground, we need to level that up now. The other thing is that when you're doing ritual, or when you're doing things, like drawing the circle, or you're doing your ritual aspects in context to your own path work, start to see the world that you want to, that we want to envision, the world that we want to see here, and start planting those seeds within the ether in context to vibrational correspondence in your mind. Start seeing the world that you want to, that we want to see, live in. The great humanitarian projects that will take us to the next level in context to our human race. The aspects that you want to see in the constructs of our realm here. Start to envision that. Start to put that into focus when you're doing your ritual, even if it's only 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Start planting those seeds within the ethers. That's just a side note to counter this, what's coming. So, so the grounding techniques are definitely a must. You got to start doing those, and it's easy with these energies to get out. And even with the path work that I do, sometimes it's like, shit, man, all of a sudden I realize I'm really, really out. And I've got to pull back, and I've got to get grounded, and I've got to get centered, and I've got to get balanced again. And the further you get out, the longer it takes to get there. So you've got to be able to catch it, catch the indifference right away, so that, you're not constantly being pulled, to the right or to the left, to the pendulum swing, and then realizing it and waking up later on and saying, oh shit, I'm way the fuck off here. And then trying to work your way back and make it where it's a faster process. So anyway, the Saturn moon aspect, is going to be a reality check, in February and March of next year. And we're also going to have, again, that T-square to Mars as everything pulls back and comes back up again. as Neptune goes direct, Mars goes direct, and we're going to catch this again with this return with the United States. So on a collective level, right now, things are very uncertain, very unknown, a lot of fear, and that's what's being amplified in the ethers in context to what they're rolling out here. They're amplifying the fear and the uncertainty to the moves that they're making, and we just have to be aware, and then counteract that within our own individual selves to finding our core within the grids of the earth, the real grids in the earth that are connecting the crystalline network in context to grounding into the planetary core, and then connecting to that, because that's where you're going to pull the energy up from the ground up on triangulation to your heart. So, and that's how we ground into the core of this orb here. And that's the practice that we need to be doing. Salt is a great grounding activation and aspect. Using salt baths, putting salt in your shower on yourself. I mean, even if you draw the circle like in a physical form, put salt around the circle. There's a lot of different ways you can use salt. Salt is a very grounding aspect, and it's one that I use as well. So I just wanted to throw this out, that, and then also we've got the Uranus and Taurus running as well. So, that could produce later on in 2023 gang violence, just in context to the inversions of people waking up and saying, well, all this is bullshit, so what's the point? And you see, roving gangs or gangs coming up and causing a lot of havoc, within the construct. We've already seen some of this where 70, 80 people, come together and they just pillage a store, nobody can stop them. They're in and they're out, and with the media and with what we have going on, to the web, and the internet, it can be very easily organized. So this is how things could run in context to, Uranus and Taurus. Uranus represents devices and gadgets and electronics and all that type of stuff. So getting into understanding that this is another aspect which will put a lot of pressure on law enforcement to try to keep up with all this shit, because people are fucking losing their minds. Look, we are in a boiling right now, okay? And either you're going to be boiled or you're going to come up out of that and you're going to transmute it. You're going to transmute the energy that's took place. It's maddening in context because, we're going to see people lose their shit. They already are. And with the boiling and how the heat's going to be turned up at the end of this year and going into 2023 to 2025, the heat's going to be turned up and the boiling is going to take place. And let me tell you, it's going to be intense, and we have to be able to do this work. If you're not, you're going to get caught in the fucking bullshit timeline. You're going to get pulled into that shit, and you're going to be fucking boiled. See? And you're going to capitulate to the fucking energies that are on the inversion, drawing your energy and life force into the fucking abyss. That's not fucking going to be any fun for anyone that can't get this and catch this right now. And that's why I do these videos, because I'm a watchman on the fucking wall, I'm a lighthouse keeper, and that's who I am. My North Node's in Cancer. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be shedding the light on the waters so the ships can come into shore with my intuition, using my intuition to do this. This is my call. This is one of my purposes here, and that is, the moon energy in context. So I'm lighting up my moon energy, which is in Pisces on the 12-6 axis, which is, it's in the 6th house. So I'm running, both sides of my hemispheres to my center, to the intuition, balancing the ego, balancing the intuition and empathy within the fulcrum, and then being able to connect to my core, to the higher force, and then, you know, bring this energy up to gauger it, or to bring it out in these videos. That's my purpose. It's why I do them, you know, and then to help other people along the way with their path work, you know, with astrology and all the other arts of gnosis. I am a lighthouse keeper. That is what I do. So getting into all of this, just be vigilant and realize that, you know, people are fucking scared. In their unconscious, subconscious minds, they are scared. And look, the boiling is going to continue, and, you know, it's only going to get worse from here. It's not going to get better with that shit. These transits are intense. They're going to pick up. You know, we've got these fucking eclipse seasons, and I'm going to get into a video on that later on, because, you know, coming up, but we do have a lunar eclipse in Scorpio coming. So, you know, that's on the horizon here, you know, about the 25th or 26th. So we're running, you know, we're going to be running that interesting energy as well, you know, in context to what eclipse represent, which is only, you know, understanding that your mind is eclipsed. See? And that's what's really happening with the collective. You know, Pink Floyd said it great at the end of their album, Dark Side of the Moon. There is no dark side of the moon. It's all dark. And that is the truth of it, is that a lunar eclipse is a new fucking moon. See? It's all dark. And it's the dark mind that has eclipsed the sun or the soul spark in context, see? Because everything starts fucking with your state of mind. Everything runs to the first cosmic law, all is mind. So, all right, that's my rant for today. If you want to get a hold of me, you can hit me up at Hardcore Productions on my Facebook page, www.hardcoreproductions.com on my website, hardcoreproductions9@gmail.com. You can email me there, or just hit me up on my Facebook page, Rodney Goodwin, on Messenger, and I will respond. If I don't respond, please hit me back up again, because I didn't see it. Okay, much love, everybody. Have an awesome week, and we will catch you down the road.